Hi, I'm Amelia and I'm really excited about this week's video where I'm going to share the process of recreating a dress that I saw on the internet. Hi, I'm Amelia and welcome to my channel. This is where I talk all about sewing a handmade wardrobe for me and my children, and this week's video is something a bit different for me. It's not something that I usually do, but I got so inspired over the Easter weekend when I saw a dress on the internet. Now, this dress was one that was worn by Princess Charlotte, and I saw it on my newsfeed with the coverage of the royal family going to church on Easter Sunday, and I just thought it was such a pretty little dress. And I'm not usually swayed by these things, but I got really excited thinking about how I might be able to recreate that for my daughter. Now, for those of you who have followed along with me for a while, you'll know that I recently shared a plans video about all of the things that I was going to be making in April. Was this part of those plans? No, it wasn't. Wasn't I going to be making trousers? I hear you say. Well, yes, I was, but I got distracted by this. And I think that's the fun thing about sewing, is that when inspiration strikes, you can just go off and make it yourself. So I still want to make all the trousers, but I'm just parking those for a moment because my creativity has been piqued by seeing this dress, and I just want to follow that creativity and see where it leads me. So do keep tuned to this video whilst I share this creative process, and hopefully at the end of it I will have recreated this look. Now, in the process of making this dress, I thought I would enter into the challenge that's currently running over on Instagram, which is called Sew Recreate the Look, and that's being run by Jen Leg Tees Creative and Charlene from So Dressmaking. I wasn't going to enter that challenge this month because I am already doing quite a few challenges this month, but seeing as I am going to try to recreate this dress, I thought I could just pop this up, hopefully on the grid, as my entry for this challenge. It could even be a double entry because I'm not sewing it for myself, I'm sewing it for my daughter, so it could be another selfless sew entry. Now, with all that said, let me share with you my inspiration, and it is this dress here. Now, it's a beautiful dress that is available online, so I will pop a link to it down below. It's available from Rachel Riley. Now, this is a beautiful UK shop full of beautiful pieces of clothing for children, and I just love their style of clothing so much. So I will pop a link to the original dress down in my description box. It is available for pre-order from her website. So if you would like to snap it up for your child, then do head to my description box and the link is there for this particular dress. Now, the dress itself is a lovely, simple style, but with a few beautiful details. So it's quite a simple bodice with a Peter Pan collar, but the collar itself has little frills around it. Not dissimilar to the dress I'm wearing today, which is the Bakerloo by Nina Lee, by the way. This dress also has a small, delicate ruffle around the Peter Pan collar, and then there are similar ruffles down the bodice, and there are two on either side of the centre of this bodice. Apart from that, there is a sash that ties up in the back. It's a button-down back, and then it's a simple gathered skirt. So actually, all in all, it's quite a simple pattern, but so stylish, and I love the blue colour of the dress as well. Now, I couldn't find this exact fabric, but I have found a Liberty lawn which is very similar, and in fact before Rachel Riley shared the dress on her Instagram, I thought it might be a perfect match. I now know it isn't, but you can't go wrong with a little bit of Liberty, so I will actually make it from the Liberty lawn, and I think it will look quite similar in the end anyway. Now, you have to forgive me, I have been so excited about making this dress that I have washed this. As soon as it came through my door, it's gone into the washing machine, and I have not yet ironed it, but I wanted to show you. So just forgive it not being ironed, but here is the fabric that I have ordered. I actually think it's such a pretty fabric. Anyway, I love this colour, and blue looks really gorgeous on my daughter. And I like the fact that it's not a dark blue, it's more sort of a cornflower blue perhaps. And then there are these little red spots in the middle of the flowers, which I just think are so pretty. So I will link this in the description box as well if you would like to go and have a look at this fabric. I do believe it comes in other colorways as well, but I do love this blue color. So yes, this is the fabric that I have bought to make the dress. And the next step for me was having a look through some patterns and seeing what I could find in order to recreate this dress. Now, one of my favourite dresses for little girls is the Children's Corner pattern Lee dress. Now, this has the Peter Pan collar and the puff sleeves, with the little bias binding around the bottom, which is perfect. But the bodice itself is quite a short bodice. It sort of finishes here just at the top of the chest, or if you smock it, you add the smocking to the top of the skirt panel for the dress. So that wasn't quite right either. Then I thought about the Children's Corner Patterns Victoria dress. But once you get up to my daughter's age group, which is about a size 4, there are bodice darts. And I just didn't really want the bodice darts, and then the fit of the bodice obviously changes if you leave the darts out. So that wasn't quite right either, although that one did have the sash, and I figured I could add the Peter Pan collar from the Lee dress. Then some wonderful, wonderful people over on my Instagram shared with me the Peony Patterns Camellia dress pattern. Now this looked really good because it actually has already got a bodice with pin tucks down the front, so that was a great start. It has the Peter Pan collar and it has puffed sleeves. They have quite a wide sleeve band on them, but that was easy enough to change. So fortunately I managed to snap this up just in time, because unfortunately Peony Patterns has discontinued this dress. This was in a major sale of theirs, 2 discontinued patterns around Easter time that they have now unfortunately pulled from their website. Now, I didn't realize how hard it was to find a simple girl's dress with a waisted bodice, puffed sleeves and a Peter Pan collar. It seems to not exist apart from this Camellia dress, which now is not for sale on Peony Patterns website. So if anyone knows of a very simple girl's dress with a waisted bodice, puffed sleeves and a Peter Pan collar, please do share it with me and I'll put it in the description box below. But I'm really glad I managed to get hold of the Camellia dress before it was discontinued. I have seen a similar-ish one on the Little Lizard King website. Now theirs is called the Kensington dress. It has the bodice that finishes at the waist, it has the Peter Pan collar, it does have little cap sleeves. However, I'm sure you could switch those out for puffed sleeves on a different pattern, or you could slash and spread the sleeves. That would be quite easy to fix. So that's the closest one that I have found if you want to recreate this dress for yourself. At the end of all of that, I have chosen the fabric, which is the Liberty Tana Lawn. I have chosen my base pattern, which is the Peony Patterns Camellia dress. And now I'm going to start the process of amending the pattern so that I can include these frills down the front. So rather than having these 2 pin tucks, I'm going to convert those into sort of larger folds so that I can tuck a frill underneath those. And I think what I'll use is the frill piece that is included in that pattern for the collar. I'll use the same frill piece for the bodice so that the size remains the same between those 2 frills, which looks like is the case on the inspiration picture, and I think will just work well for the style of the dress if both of those frills are the same size. I'm going to head off now and go and play with this pattern a little bit, and I'm going to make a toile, if you can call it a toile, out of some paper to kind of check my ideas and check the dimensions, how many inches, for example, from the center of the bodice to that first ruffle. Once I have an idea of what I'm going to do, I will come back and share those amended pattern pieces with you. But for now, I'm going to go off. I'm so inspired. I really can't wait to get started on this project. And like I say, I had lots of plans for April, but sometimes it's just nice to follow where the creativity leads you. So I do hope you will keep watching this video and enjoy following on with my process this week as I attempt to recreate this dress. So I started out with this piece of paper and I drew lines 1.5 inches from the center, and then 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch lines at those points. Then I measured another 1.5 inches and then again drew lines at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. And then I just folded those lines together, so I used those 1/2 inch points to basically pleat the fabric. And I think that looks like a good sort of ratio of fabric to then pleats. What I then did is I cut the piece from the Camellia pattern for the collar ruffle. And then obviously that will be folded in half and the raw edge will be tucked in there. And then I'll obviously sew it down here. And again, I just thought the proportions of that look quite nice. You then get 1 inch of fabric beside that pleat before you then get the next ruffle. Now obviously what I then needed to do was to cut the front bodice piece and then just to lay those pleats down on the front bodice and check how much fabric I needed to add to get to the end of that bodice piece here. So what I've come out with as a final pattern piece for the Camellia bodice is based on the piece that they include for their pin-tucked bodice, but in essence it's just a rectangular piece of fabric. I've then marked where my pleats will be. There's the first pleat, There's the second pleat. And I've actually cut it not on the aged 4 line, I've cut it on the aged 7 line just to give me a little bit more fabric, because obviously I'm putting in 2 pleats, not 2 pin tucks. Then when I fold those pleats and check it against the front bodice piece, I know that I will have enough to cut that piece out. So all in all, in terms of my pattern pieces, I've got my front bodice piece with that ruffle, and I'll need to cut out a few more pieces of that ruffle pattern to go with the front collar piece. Then I have got my sleeve piece. Now what I've done with the sleeve piece is, rather than cutting it on the age 4 line, I've just extended that by about 1/2 inch, just because in the Camellia pattern the sleeve binding is quite wide, and I'm going to do a very thin bias strip for my binding on my puffed sleeves. So I knew I needed to add a little more depth to those, so I just extended the line here for the age 4 down a little bit to meet this curve here, which I believe was the age 8 line, and that will be my puffed sleeve. Then I've got my back bodice, and I'll cut 4 of those, 2 for the main fabric and 2 out of my lining fabric. Then I have a lovely wide sash piece. Now Peony Patterns are great, same with Little Lizard King actually. They include the dimensions for your sash, dimensions for the skirt. Rather than wasting paper printing it out, they just give you those dimensions in a table, and you can draw them on your tracing paper for yourself and cut those out. So I've traced that onto my paper, so I need to cut 2 of those on the fold for a lovely big sash at the back. And then my final piece, which hopefully will fit on the camera, is my full skirt. I'm going to do a full gathered skirt. I need to cut 2 of these on the fold, and I have got a placket piece here to cut out so I can make a lovely back placket. So those are all my pattern pieces cut out and sorted out, and I think I'm really happy with where this is at the moment in terms of those tucks and frills. So I think I'm just going to go for it, and I won't get this cut out today because we've got lots of other things planned for this afternoon, but I will hopefully get that cut out and started tomorrow. It's Sunday, and we've had a busy morning, lovely morning, but I have cut out all the pieces now. You'll see here there's a nice pile of cut out pieces, including lots and lots of ruffle bits to go on the bodice and the collar. Now today I am also wearing a ruffle collar. This is my Amelia dress by Peony Patterns, and just a ready to wear cardigan because it's such a lovely spring day outside today, which is really exciting. And my earrings from Ethel & Jones. I will pop links to the dress and the earrings below, and I'll pop a link up here to where I have a video reviewing this dress pattern with my friend Amelia Allen Sews, so you can pop up there if you want to check out more information about this pattern. But as for the dress, it is all cut out, it's all ready to go. What I'm going to do, I think, having slept on it, is I'm going to start working on this pattern piece first, so the bodice. I'm going to mark out my pleat lines, and I'm actually going to cut down the center of each of those, and then I will just pop the ruffle in and actually sew it in and then top stitch it down. I'll take you on the journey as I do that so that you can hopefully see it as I do that. So that's going to be the first job, but obviously before I actually get started putting the ruffles on, I have to sew the ruffles together. So that's what I'm going to start with, I think. Monday and I am in my sewing corner, and I thought I'd catch you up with what I did actually get done yesterday, and I did get done quite a lot. I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but I think the preparation of these things often takes the longest time. So here is the bodice. I don't know if you can see it, but it has got these little frills on it. I'm really pleased with how those turned out. Hopefully you've seen from the footage how I just sewed them on. I did end up cutting each piece off and then sewing the ruffle in and then top stitching it down just so it stays exactly where I want it to stay. And then I used my chalk marker to trace around the bodice piece so that this is the right shape and size, and so then I can start piecing the bodice together, which is very exciting. I also decided to prepare the collar, so you will have hopefully seen that too. So here's the beautiful ruffled collar piece. I pinned that ruffle into place and then I did hand baste that down before sewing it into place. I just think with ruffles things often go wrong, don't they? So I'd rather hand baste it first and know everything's in the right place, and then that came together quite quickly once I had done that. So there's two beautiful collar pieces there. I've just put a little clip on the front of the collar to remind me which is the front and which is the back, because once you've sewn the ruffle in it's a little harder to tell. So the last thing I did was to prepare the sash pieces. So here are the two sashes. And then in this they tell you to pleat the sash, which is nice. Other patterns I've used you simply put some gathering stitches along here and gather that into the side of the bodice, but I think that pleat is quite nice. So what I'm going to try and do in the next hour or so of sewing time that I've got today is to get the bodice pieced together. So that's the bodice and the lining. You will probably have noticed from this bodice that I haven't finished off these edges here where I've tucked the ruffles in place. That's because it's a fully lined bodice. So this will have a lining piece on the back of it, and all of these raw edges will be enclosed, including these seams at the back. So that's why that's not finished, because it will be fully lined. And that's, I think, probably where I'll get to today. It is Monday night and I have a bodice. I thought I would pop back on and show you. Here it is. Here is the little ruffle collar and the two ruffles down the front. It's turned out just as I hoped, and then here is the tie, the sash. Got one sash obviously on each side. And yeah, gorgeous little collar. Now I haven't put buttons on the back yet. I will have a little look through my button tin later and see if I've got any buttons that are the right colour. I'm going to do a little bit of sewing tonight and try and get these sleeves attached to the bodice, and then I'll hopefully be able to finish that tonight and attach the skirt tomorrow. So it's been so much fun putting this together. I think that creative process of seeing something you love and then recreating it for yourself, for someone that you love, is just something that's so special about sewing. So I'm really, really enjoying working on this project. So I shall catch you up with my progress hopefully tomorrow morning. Thursday, and I have managed, as you can see here, to finish the dress, and I'm so excited with how it turned out. I think it's really similar to the original, but with obviously different fabric, and I have really enjoyed putting it together. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the footage of it coming together very slowly. I really enjoyed hand stitching the bias binding onto these cuffs. I didn't end up hand sewing the hem, although I often do that on Liberty fabrics. I did do that on the machine just because I had a thread that was very similar in colour. But I did hand sew the lining down on the bodice to the skirt to just hide that raw edge inside the bodice. I just really enjoy hand sewing, and especially as the last touch on a special dress like this. It's just a really satisfying and lovely sort of job to do. Here it is on the hanger, and you'll just see these lovely little delicate ruffles here down the front of the bodice, the ruffled collar, and then I've got a beautiful full gathered skirt, these puff sleeves which turned out beautifully. I love the length of them, so I'm really pleased with that. And then on the back you can see I've got buttons here, 4 buttons that I found from my local haberdashery, and then this beautiful full sash at the back. I just love the colour of this fabric. I think it's going to look so pretty in the springtime. So that's it, it's been finished. I just absolutely loved the process of this make. I think sometimes when creativity just strikes, you have to follow it where it leads, and I just really had such a good time putting this one together. I really enjoy sewing for my children. I know that they won't get a huge amount of wear out of it, but hopefully we can pass this on to my niece when my daughter is finished with it and she can get some wear out of it. I just get a lot of joy out of making things for my children and seeing them wear them and enjoy them, even if it is just for a couple of years. Now you'll see behind me there are a couple of other dresses just hanging up. I'm hoping to get some photographs of those this afternoon as well. These are all things that I've made this April as part of the Selfless Sew April challenge. So hopefully I'll release a video soon with those makes that I've been working on this April, so you'll be able to see these in more detail. And do check back on my Instagram if you don't follow me already. I'm Sew Amelia on Instagram as well. And do check there on the 30th of April when I'll be sharing all of these Selfless Sew April makes that I've been working on this month. It's been so much fun to be part of that challenge. And I'll also obviously be sharing this one for the Sew Recreate the Look challenge, because I do think that I managed to recreate the look of this Easter dress, and I'm really pleased with the final result. So I hope you really enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing as I recreated this dress and watching the process unfold. If you did enjoy it, please do give the video a like. It really just helps YouTube to share my video with others who might also enjoy it. And if you haven't yet subscribed, do that as well. It would be lovely to have you as one of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching. I've got lots of exciting videos coming up, so do check back next Saturday when I will have another video. And until then, I hope you have a very happy week ahead, full of lots of happy sewing. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!